Hi, now this is number 17 in this playlist on what Linux beginners must know, and this one's on permissions. When you start working in Linux, one of the first things you'll have to tackle is file and directory permissions. In this short exercise we'll see what they are, how you can list them, and of course how to set them. Now there are three basic permissions which are read, write and execute, and these three permissions are stored in the file's inode 3 times. The first set is for the owner of the file, so the user ID. The second one is for the group, so the group ID. And the third one is for others, also often referred to as the rest of the world. Now it works like this. When you log in, your user ID and group ID will be connected to your shell. So whenever you want to open a file for reading or writing, or if you want to execute it, if it's a script or a program, the system will check whether you're the owner based upon the user ID. And if you're not the user, it will try to match the group ID. And if that's also not the case, then you belong to others. Now there's a difference between file and directory permissions. The read permission for a file means that you can read the contents of the file. And if it's a directory, you're allowed to list the file names in that directory. Write means that you can manage the contents of a file. And with regards to directories, you're allowed to create, copy, rename and delete files in that directory. And the execute bit means that you can execute the script or program. And in the case of a directory, you can access this directory to make it your current working directory. So for example, by using the cd command. Now before we go and check some examples, there's one more thing. Setting permissions can be done in two ways. You can use the octo mode or you can use the symbolic mode. And in both cases you will need the change mode command to set the permissions. We'll see examples of both, but we'll start with the octo mode, in which there are 4 settings. 4, 2, 1 and 0, where 4 means read permission, 2 means a write permission, 1 means an execute permission, and 0 means no permission. Now let's see how it works. Now when I run ls-l, I see I have 3 entries in my login directory. A directory called dir1, a script, and a file. So the directory and the script have the execute bit set for the owner, the group, and others. But the text file does not have the execute bit set. And the owner of all 3 files has the write permission set, so the owner will be able to create files in the directory and manage the contents of the script and the text file. Now let's start by getting rid of all of these permissions. So we run change mode 000 for all files in this directory. So that will set everything to no permissions whatsoever. So now when I try to run the script, I get a permission denied because, for one thing, I do not have the execute bit set. So let's fix that first. So I add the execute bit. And I'm still not able to run it because I need to be able to read the script if I want to execute it. So I add the read bit as well by running change mode 500, which is 4 plus 1 for the script. I try to run it once more and I'm successful because I've got read and execute permission, and that's all I need. Now what about this directory? When I try to list its contents, as expected, I'm not allowed to read its contents because I have no read permission. So let's add the read permission. We check it. And we see we can read, but when I list its file names, it does show me the file names, but also says that it will not be able to tell me anything about the file's properties. So when I run a long listing, I'm not allowed to access the directory to get these files. So we need the execute bit as well to be able to do that. So we fix it. And now we should be able to get the file's properties. And as expected, we succeed. Now the other way to set permissions is by using the symbolic mode, which really is a walk in the park because we simply say whether it's the user, the group or others, or a combination of those, and we can even use the A, which means all. And then we can add or remove, and finally we enter the permissions that are involved. So it's really simple. Let's have a look at some examples. Now the text file still has no permissions set. So let's first add read for user and group like this. So we run change mode, user and group, get a read permission for this particular file. And then we add the write permission for the user only. And if we want to get rid of the read permission for the group, we can remove it like this. And finally, if we do not want to add or remove, but set it hard, meaning that this is an absolute way of setting, which will remove all permissions that you do not specify, you can use the equal sign. So for example, we first add all permissions for everybody, for text 1. And now we set others to read only by using the equal sign, which will remove write and execute for others. And like with the octo mode, we can also remove all permissions in a single command. To set all permissions to nothing for all files, we run change mode all equals nothing for all files. And to be honest, for the octo mode as well as for symbolic, read, write and execute are not the only permissions you can set. There's also the set UID bit, set group ID bit and the sticky bit. Please have a look at the description with maybe 2 interesting videos on this topic. And we're done.